Hi there, welcome to our video tutorial, and thanks for coming to take a look at Regular. If you're a BIM manager or you work with construction data, I hope you're going to like it, because Regular was built with your workflows in mind. And today I'm going to be demonstrating a tool called DataSpec, a tool that helps you manage data according to certain formatting standards, so things like sheet numbers, fire ratings, specification codes, and so forth. And DataSpec makes it very easy to define rules for this data, which you can validate your model against. In our hypothetical example, my company, or even maybe my project, has decided that all the door codes in the model need to follow a certain format. And this format needs to either start with ID or ED for internal door or external door. After this, they want a full stop and 3 or 4 numbers. So something like ID.001 would be considered perfect. So to clarify, your rules for your data live in your model, and the only way to create, edit, and delete rules is using the rule manager. So if someone who doesn't have Regular opens the model, they won't be able to see the rules, but they'll still be in there. So to create a dummy rule in the model, I will open up the rule manager. And I've already got a few rules in here. As you can see, I can sort of click to create a new rule. I can sort of edit. I can delete rules very easily. You can reorganize them with these arrows. And what I can do is I'm going to delete door codes, and we're going to recreate that one from scratch now. So I'm going to click New Rule. This is going to open up the rule editor window. Immediately it's going to ask me to name my rule, so let's call it door codes example. And I'm going to have to select which categories in Revit this rule relates to, in which case I'm just interested in doors, but you can actually pick multiple categories if you'd like to. I'm going to press this button again to hide or show categories panel, get it out of the way, and when you select multiple categories, you'll then be asked which parameter you want to track, and it will actually filter down to parameters that relate to every category that's selected. So if you select, all the categories, it will tell you there's no parameters in common. Anyway, where were we? We were looking at doors, and we're just going to look at the mark value, which is very often where you'd be putting that kind of door code in Revit. The match type, I can select from multiple match types. This essentially says, am I looking to match the entire length of the code, or just a part at the beginning, just a part at the end, so it doesn't have to be an exact match. And now we're going to get to creating the rule. So we said it could be either ID or ED at the start. That means we've got options, and that means we need an option set. So from this kind of drop down here of parts, you're going to select an option set, and basically the way it works is you'll press add to add in this rule part, and you create the rules for your data piecemeal, so piece by kind of adding, mixing and matching different rule parts here. I've created an option set, but it's not ready yet. I have to click edit to edit the option set and type in some values on new rows, and that defines, if you like, the options for my option set. So I've pressed OK now. I've defined ID and ED for internal and external doors. The next thing I need is a full stop, and we said 3 or 4 different numbers. So anything 0 through to 9, I'm going to add in 4, and I can tell one of these that is going to be optional. So ID dot and then 3 to 4 numbers. Now to make sure that my rule is formatted exactly the way I want it to, and I'm not surprised by anything, I've got a little example generator here in the bottom. You can click to generate random examples, and it will take into account all of the options you've set here. Once that looks to me that looks okay, I can press OK. I've now got door codes example, and I can execute this rule, which will expand the report window in the rule manager. It's gone a bit far. And here we go. As you can see, I'm 56.3% valid. That's not too bad already. But I can see I've got some here that actually are invalid. So 206A, 207, and that's because it's not following our formatting rule yet. So if I just want to make sure this is valid, I can change this to ID 207 here in the report, and immediately it tells me that it's valid now. If I was to re-execute, we've gone from 56 now to 62. So you can sort by all of these columns. You can sort and keep all your valid, invalid rules together by your mark number. You can name, so you can have sort of similar types grouping together. And finally, you can hit export to export that report to CSV format for review in things like Excel. And that is my simple example of how to use DataSpec.